Wait, they were like, what?
And I was like, boss, please.
Hey, listeners. I hope you're doing great. Welcome to an episode of Boss Please. I'm Megan here with Jill.
Hello, ladies and gents.
Ooh, that was sensual.
Thank you.
I loved it.
Yeah, that's my phone sex operator voice.
Does that pertain to how you were boss this week, or were you boss in other ways as well?
I try to be phone sex operator sexy all the time, but definitely not how I was the boss this week. I was the boss this week because I washed my sheets.
Get it, girl.
Honestly, it is, guys, I hate to this is like white girl problems, first world problems, whatever. I don't have a washing machine in my apartment. And let me tell you, it is the bane of my fucking existence.
Yeah.
I share a washing machine with everyone else in my building, and I get so weird about washing my sheets. So, finally, I did the damn thing, and I put it on real hot water, and it took a lot out of me, you know? A lot of money, a lot of time.
No, but honestly, I'm spoiled in that way. I mean, my apartment may not be huge, but I did have a washer and dryer hookup, so I body used one, and it is life changing.
I would literally be the cleanest chick if I had that. Everything would smell so good. It would be so clean. Not to say that I'm not.
I was just gonna say your place is great. What are you talking about?
My place is clean, but I'd be washing my sheets once a week. You know, just
that.
Washing my duvet cover.
Yeah.
I can't do that all the time.
Yeah,
I can't.
Girl, I feel you.
Actually,
that's a reminder. I should probably go home and wash my sheets. Although
you dirty bitch.
I did.
Wash the sheets.
I just washed them last week. I was like, when was the last time I washed them? I was like, I just washed them last week. Okay, we good.
How were you a boss?
So I was a boss this week because I don't think I'm going to continue with Blue Apron, but I did challenge myself to cook more, as people could see on social media, because I documented the entire thing. And even though I may not be the best cook, it's so funny. My sister also got the same meals, and she took a picture of hers, and then looking at mine, I'm like, we know who got the cooking genes in the family. It was not Meghan. But I was excited. I felt very sophisticated. I was chopping up the garlic. The onions made me cry. My eyes are still burning to this day because of that damn onion. But it was fun. It was fun to do something new.
Yeah, it's so funny. I am always so stumped on what to get my friends as gifts. And after watching her story, I know that I need to get her a knife set because she was cutting an onion with a butter knife. And that's why she was crying, because it took a long ass time to cut that onion.
Okay.
I literally was watching you and I'm like, this chick is literally cutting an onion on a paper plate with a butter knife.
100% factual. But the reason I don't have knives, I am not going to share, and I will tell you off the air as to why I don't have utensils.
Okay, well, listen, I'm gonna have to get you something. I don't know, or an onion cutter, one of those ones where you
no, I'm
chop
done with
it
onions.
and it lands.
I'm done. No, I'm done with onions.
Well, maybe I'll get you some goggles. We'll see.
Okay.
We'll see. Okay, so on to this week's Real Talk. I want to get a little serious. Let's talk about, hiding our insecurities and how we sort of built walls up. Some people do it because they're afraid to be vulnerable. Some people do it through comedy. They put up a guard and they sort of express themselves outwardly through comedy because they're feeling vulnerable and they don't want to expose that. So do you ever have a problem opening up? I mean, you're a very open person.
I am a very open person, but I do feel in certain situations, I do deflect with comedy, because I feel if a friend is hurting, maybe instead of asking if they're okay, I sort of just make a joke to make them laugh. But no, I'm very open, but I think, being honest, I think going to therapy has helped me become more open and okay with talking about what I need to talk about and share, and that everyone has a story and everyone has gone through, if not the same thing, something similar, and this world is very even though sometimes with social media we feel it's not as understanding as it should be, there are other people out there that will understand because they have gone through something similar.
Yeah, I definitely have a vulnerability issue. I just always try to be that strong person. And
you are very strong.
I know that you know that as my friend, and it's kind of always hard for me to break down or get to that point where I sort of lower my guard and let my walls down. So it is something that I am working on. It's just funny because I feel like we're pretty open on this show and we talk about things, and then I sort of forget what I talk about, and random people will say like, oh my God, like been there. And I'm like, did I talk about that? Like, oh my God, is it because I'm just talking to Meghan? Like, we're just shooting the shit back and forth, and I'm not sort of concerned about everybody else that's listening.
It's hard. You forget that people are going to be listening to this because it is just a conversation.
It's true, and I'm thankful for that because it's also helping me grow.
What's interesting about Jill, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but sometimes, because I know she's such a strong person, when we do go on walks or we do go to coffee, I'll try to ask her questions to get her to open up. But half the time, she's so concerned about someone else she loves in her life that she will spend the entire time talking about someone else, not in a bad way, just being like, I'm so worried about this person, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, girl, but what about you? Yeah. What about you? So
I'm such like I feel like we carry the burden.
You're a mama bear. You take care of a lot of people.
We do carry the burden as women. Like, we are, I don't know what it is. It's like it's in our DNA. Like we just have to care for others and constantly concerned about others. And you know the story of how many women put themselves before anybody, or put other people before themselves. And it's something that as an adult, like obviously I'm going to have to sort of prep myself for, because I am, in that decade where hopefully I will be lucky enough to have a family, and things are going to shift. And, I have to remember that I've already lost myself in that sense. And even with kids, I feel like that situation is just going to be magnified.
But at least you're aware, which is the first thing.
Sure. So I just have to remind myself to continue that openness, continue that vulnerability, not just with my partner, but with the people that I'm lucky enough to share my life with and have them in my life. So today we're really lucky because we have one of my closest friends in studio, and she is just the beacon of vulnerability. And she shows it through her poems, through her art, and just through life, who she is, what she does. Stephanie Giorgi will be with us when we come back. Hey bosses, welcome back. So we are lucky enough to have Stephanie Giorgi in studio today. She is a San Diego native and is American Colombian artist and lifelong creative. After 5 years as a host for the after show network AfterBuzz TV, Giorgi pursued her passion in acting, writing, and painting. In 2018, Giorgi created her first collection, A Year of Me, that debuted in February of 2019 in San Diego and Los Angeles. And let me tell you, I went to go see it, and it was stunning. She identifies herself as an abstract expressionist and poet, and we want to welcome Stephanie.
Hi.
How you doing, girlfriend?
Well, thank you. I'm excited.
I love her.
I'm excited to have you here too. I feel like it's been a long time coming. You've listened to our show, so you kind of know the rundown. Stephanie is really special to me for many reasons. We met years ago while doing AfterBuzz, working on a really special show called The Fosters, and developed a really quick friendship. This is going to be a little bit of a sensitive show topic, so I just want to warn everybody, if they're triggered, we are going to talk a little bit about sexual assault. Want to talk about that at the forefront right out. I was telling Stephanie before the show, I just did a little test, and I Googled her name, and, this does not define her, but when you do Google her name, she went viral a couple of years ago for sharing her story about a sexual assault. And it is something that is, if you haven't seen, some of the most compelling footage that I think anybody could watch. And you sort of fall in love with her on camera through her storytelling, and feel for her and anyone else that's been affected by sexual assault, sexual violence. So I want to talk to you about that, obviously.
Before we do, I just want everyone to know Jillian has been like a mentor to me. Mm-hmm. So I think it's so sweet. And the discussion you guys just had prior to, you are such a caretaker. So I love that you forewarn everyone. And just a side note, when 13 Reasons came out, the second one, she messaged me right away and she's like, hey, Steph, don't watch it. And I remember I literally got emotional when I got the text, because it is so, your concern is so genuine.
Wow.
And I feel like you are so thoughtful in the way that you know which things bother me and what don't. as vulnerable as I may be, and as susceptible I am to pain and wanting to be in the middle of things, it was sweet and it was nice. And I took your word for it because I trust you as a person and as a friend and as my mentor, if you will.
Oh, Steffi.
Okay, sorry, what's the question?
Oh my gosh. Well, I wanted everybody to learn a little bit more about that. First of all, sort of what happened in, just a shorter version, and then also how you sort of attempted to heal yourself through your art. Mm-hmm. Because I think that is really important and sort of why you're at the place you're at today.
Sure. So the first and foremost, and I was thinking about this on the way over, I think the thing that embarrasses me the most about it is that it happened to me while I was so grown, just right before I turned 27. And essentially what happened was I live here in Los Angeles. I work at a restaurant. For anyone who works at a restaurant, I feel like more or less you understand what the industry is like in regards to after work drinks and whatnot and whatever. But anyways, it was just one of those days where I had a lot going on. There was a lot of drinking involved. And then I went to go see a friend's show later that night, more drinking involved. Excuse me. And then it was, it doesn't always happen. I think it's when you're a little bit excited, and it was in a time period where I was holding 2 jobs and I had just started the new job and I was with newer coworkers. But it hit me one of those nights, right? And it doesn't always happen. It's not like I haven't blacked out before, but I more or less started blacking out and I was becoming sloppy, and I kind of remember arguing. And then I don't know, my phone had died, and so I tell this, a lot of this is now after the 2 years kind of remembering. So a lot of it I didn't remember at the time. Now after trying to figure it out, I do. But anyways, I was drunk. My phone wasn't working. I was put into a car, and one that was supposed to take everything that we all do. I can't say specifically, but I was put in a car, and the drivers who assaulted me. People keep asking me oh, were you knocked out in the back or anything like that? I'm not. And I feel like I always have to stress it because this is the part where the guilt and the blame comes into play. If you know me or if you meet me, I don't care who you are. I'm going to talk to you. I'm a friendly person. If you have an accent, I'm going to talk to you even more because I want to know where you come from and I want to see if I know any words in your language. Literally, that's so predictable of me. But, and when we drink, which we've all done before, and I'm a little bit at this point, I'm happy to talk about this now because I can defend myself better. For everyone who says, that's why you shouldn't drink so much. That's why you shouldn't do this. Trust and believe I came from parents who, first of all, we don't even drink like that in our family. I know very well that we're not supposed to and that I have to protect myself. I've been lectured about this stuff my entire life. But again, when you lose control, you lose control. Also, it was quite innocent prior. It wasn't anything crazy, no drugs, just your regular drinking. But anyway, so I guess I imagine I was too friendly because I can't remember any conversation or anything like that. I don't. And then I just remember kind of coming home, and I remember seeing my housemate who says I didn't say anything, but I thought I had a conversation with her. And then she said I went to my bedroom, but I woke up the next day in my living room with the sun in my face, and I didn't have my phone, and I was so scared because I was late to work. It was already an hour past the time I was supposed to be there. When I arrived, the people that I was out with that night and then the people who requested the car for me were at the restaurant, eating. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh my God, we were so worried. And I remember feeling embarrassed because because that's not me. I drink, but it does annoy me to see other women sloppy. I don't like to be that way. No one does. Mm-hmm. But anyways, so I was like, that's not really mean. There was 2 girls there that I didn't really know. And they're like, haha, yeah, right. Kind of a look. And I was just like, damn. But I tried to brush it off. And I remember laughing and I kept giggling. And then I was a little bit, it was kind of dizzy for me. I was like, oh shit, I'm still drunk. And then I started laughing more. And then we started making jokes, cracking up, blah, blah, blah. About an hour goes by and then I throw up, right? So I imagine the hangover starts to kind of kick in. So I throw up for the first time and I'm walking around, going to my tables and whatnot. And then I remember the exact location of where I stood when the first like flash hit my face, literally like in the movies. You know, when people start like, oh, the hangover, and people are like, oh, I remember, right? I didn't remember exactly. I remembered, it's too invasive to go into detail, but I remember 2 specific like flashes, and
you knew what happened.
And kind of, not really. I knew I remembered it, and then I thought, no, because why don't I remember it more, you know? And then I was thinking, because who the fuck was the person? I couldn't remember the face. I couldn't remember a name. To be perfectly honest, and this is another part that pisses me off about men and the world being so shook about like, yeah, but you know, women get drunk and do this all the time. You're right. I have been drunk before, and I have slept with someone that I met casually. But when I met them, like, we had a conversation, we got drunk together, not I'm shit-faced, and then you meet me when I can barely put a fucking sentence together, and I don't know your face or your name or anything, and then you think the shit's gonna go down. It pisses me off too, because I can't figure out how it happened, but to be fair, and again, the blame comes into play because I'm a pretty sexual person, and I must have been in a bad place, because I think ultimately when we make the worst choices while we're drinking, we're not in a good place. That's not my fucking fault. Sorry. But anyway, so I don't know. Stuff went down. I started remembering it. And then I was at work, and then my friend was like, oh, yo, like, we found your passport. You left it at the last restaurant that we were at. And I was like, oh my God, thank God. Like, damn, like, how did I get so turned last night? Then later, the guy, he messaged me, and he's asked me if I had found my passport. And so I must have given him my number, telling me, because I didn't request it. So I was thinking, like, how would I get into contact to be like, did you find any of my things, so on and so forth. And to be honestly, I mean, I'm assuming that's how he had my number, because I can't, like, this is where the blame and the guilt comes into play again, because you're like, oh my God, how? And then no, and then he and I was like, I'm sorry, who's this? And they told me, and then I was like, oh my, I'm so embarrassed right now, and like a little, what did I say? What was the word I used? Not mortified, but it was something like that. And I'm like, I would have never done anything like this. I want to, did we hook up? Did we, you know, and I asked, damn, that's funny. You think you're over it until you in conversation again, but it's okay. But because
if you don't,
no, it's fine.
Okay.
It's fine. Word of advice for everybody. When, as a woman now these days, when we talk about these things, take your breath and continue to talk, because we can't allow things that have happened or our emotions to control us. Rather accept it, love it, but continue to talk gracefully if you can, because it is what it is.
I'm proud of you.
I'm so proud of you right now.
Thank you. But I asked, I was like, did we have sex? And he said yes. And then I was like, fuck. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, that's okay.
Right. That sucks. And I remember crying and calling my one of my friends, and I was like, I think I had sex with the driver last night, blah, 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 whatever. Or no, I did. I was still saying I think, after I had gotten confirmation. And then she was like, but how did you meet him, blah, blah. I'm like, I don't remember his face. I don't know, blah, blah, whatever. And she's like, dude, that's like rape. And I'm like, no, it's not. I don't remember saying no. I don't understand how it happened. I'm a little bit confused. I'm like, I feel like I'm waiting to stop throwing up so that I can remember everything carefully, blah, blah. And then I said that I was embarrassed. I would have never done anything like that. And then I'm like, I don't know your name. I don't know what you look like. And he starts sending me pictures. He starts sending me pictures of himself. And one of them is with his mom, I assume. And I remember thinking, like, I was angry. And part of the reason why, and I've never, ever said this to anybody, part of the reason why I didn't want to share it was because I kept thinking about that picture of his mom. Like, you know, how do you find out that your son did this to somebody? And then I kept thinking, well, you know what? Yeah, I was drunk, whatever. He asked me those things, and he said, don't worry. He's like, don't be shy. And I was going to try to meet up with him because I needed to know what the fuck happened. What did I say? What did you say? Why did we do this? Because he seemed as if we had this, like, conversation. He seemed so friendly. And now that time has gone by, this is literally a strategy a lot of guys do to make the situation a little softer, is show a little bit of care in the morning just in case, right? Because you guys know what they're doing, especially the sober ass motherfucker who is supposed to be driving me home, and that's it, you know? But anyways, so I saw all of that, and then I was like, you know what? No. I had more time. I went through like 45 minutes of extreme polar emotions of the coffee, then no, then this and that. And then I said, I'm sorry. No, I'm so angry. I was drunk. I still can't believe this happened. Please just like leave me alone and don't talk to me. And then he kept trying to get into contact with me. And I was like, I ignored him. And I remember I told 2 friends that I worked with. And then I remember when they were bringing it up to me, I'm so sorry, but please don't talk about it anymore. Don't bring it up. It's done. Whatever. They're like, Stephanie, but I'm like, stop. Seriously, stop. And I told myself, how am I supposed to get over it? But I couldn't, because again, it's a control thing. And now I know myself I see that I do have a control of a lot around my life. And maybe that's why I was scared. And again, even if I didn't know, it was like my subconscious telling me it wasn't right. You don't think I would have felt like this the other times in my life that I've had these casual random experiences? You know, there's a difference. But anyway, so then we went, so then he kept trying to get a hold of me. I kept ignoring him. And then he sent me another text, very vulgar. I don't know if I should say it or not, but right. So this part of the text was, I want to say, okay, 2 of the worst things out of this entire experience was me losing my hair, and then this text message that I got, which he texted me and I wasn't responding. I made myself very clear, and I think because I had studied somewhat on the subject before, I knew how people can twist words around, and I remember reading my text messages and seeing how clear I was. And I said, if you felt that I misled you, I apologize, but those were not my intentions. I am sincere, and I mean it when I say, like, I didn't, this is not me. I don't want anything to do with you. Nothing. And if you like, just please leave me alone. Asking kindly. And this motherfucker was like, hey, ignoring it. A week goes by, 2 weeks goes by, hey again, and then asks me, hey, are you pregnant? And I was like shattered, because I don't remember penetration. I don't remember, I don't know if it went all the way. And I really want to believe that it didn't, because it was like such a short period of time. And I remember the light that I saw that kind of like I just remember seeing a light and then wanting to go home after that, And so he asked that, and I'm like, I'm sad, and I remember I'm shaky. I'm like, I've already had like the worst week. And what's funny too? You know how people always say those who've been abused and stuff like become like homeless or like crackheads and shit like that? The only time in my entire life I ever bought like anything that wasn't just like marijuana, it was a bag of Coke, was the day after that happened to me. And I didn't think about it until afterwards, because that's not my character. I don't do that shit at all. And I remember, why did I do that? Why did I? And thinking about it now, that's what people like, you really do figure, what can I do to get this out of my fucking head, right? Sorry for cursing so much. But anyway, so then that happened, and then so he sent that. I was so upset, and that's what happened before. That messed me up even more, and I literally kept trying to do. I had to speak to myself, telling myself that, okay, don't drink anymore. Be careful. This is your lesson now. Everything that like you could possibly say to a child or to anyone that you want to teach a lesson to. And then this guy hits me up then on WhatsApp, and I said, leave me alone or I'll report you. I blocked him. Then he finds me on Facebook 2 months later, and that's when I finally panic, and I hadn't like really cried yet, because I've been trying to understand the situation. I get that we live in a world where good and bad things happen, and I am not exempted to anything, right? And so that was an understanding from the beginning. But then at that point, then I just got scared, because I also live in LA, and I've also seen a lot of movies, and I'm like, why he's now becoming a predator? It's not just me. And then the last thing was like on Halloween, he tried to add my Snapchat. And then I got really scared again, and I had to call the police. I already called the police once before, only at the Facebook time. Before that, I tried to deal with it on my own. And then I called again. I had to update it, and I was like, you can see people's location when they're on Snapchat. You can find out where people are. And it was just like that. But that was pretty much like the end of it, because then I don't know if they got him. I don't know what the detail was. The horror stories of not getting help from the police is so true. They tell you to go to a female officer. Doesn't make a fucking difference, excuse me, because they see too much every day. I get that they're desensitized, but damn, like that I was lucky to get any sort of help at all. But then that was it. And then during that time, I started losing my hair. I mean, okay, so that's the detail. That's the extent of the assault, which is unfortunate. And I think, and I want to say it as real as it is, because I think people have a specific idea of being sexually assaulted or raped or whatever, but it's awful in all sorts of ways. You can be completely sober for it and you cannot remember it.
Yep.
Your body does.
Yeah.
So after this, just as your friend, I didn't know that anything was going on during this time, and I had seen you once a week. Mm-hmm. Like, we had like a standing date. Mm-hmm. Then I started to notice that your hair was falling out. And it came to a point where you sort of had to say something because you didn't know what was happening.
Right.
So when your body was internalizing all of this stress, it took a toll on your outward appearance. Mm-hmm. When did you finally realize that it was because of the assault?
After blood tests. So the first time I started losing my hair, July 18th on a Monday. I remember perfectly how, like, in the shower, everything that entire day is so vivid to me.
And you had long hair.
I had long hair, girl. My top knots were everything, y'all. Okay.
I used to call her J-Lo.
Yeah, you know what? I never tell people that they say that, but sometimes I'm like, no, they used to call me J-Lo. Like, it was a thing.
I can see it. I can totally see it. You're gorgeous.
Oh, thank you. My hair was thin, but but it was long, and it was definitely, I mean, for all women, it's a lot of our identification, but no, I started losing it, and I've always lost my hair growing, like, in the shower and stuff like that. So I try not to panic, but then it was kind of like the locks, you know? And of course, all of us always think of a little princess when the girl's brushing her hair and it's like falling out, or of the craft when she's doing the same thing. And so of course, those first two things come into mind, because I'm like, that's kind of what my hair looks like right now. And then I get to work and I ask people, is this normal, by brushing my fingers through my hair, and it was just coming out. And then it didn't make sense, because how does it happen in one day though? What triggered in my head for my follicles to allow my hair to, like, release? Okay, so then that was on a Monday. That Thursday I went to a doctor's, and she asked me if anything happened recently. I was like, no, not really. I didn't mention it, didn't associate the two whatsoever. And then afterwards I was like, oh, well, actually, I guess something. And I remember she sat down and she was like, Stephanie, like two sides. And then I remember standing and, like, holding tears back, but, like, and she was a foreign doctor, and no offense or anything, but me being, like, foreign, like, I have a lot of respect for anyone who comes from a different country or, like, that is a foreign descent. I understand the upbringing and the strictness of the household and the cultural mentality. So I think I didn't want to look bad in front of her, because I understand that like, it's just a thing. So I remember I was standing tall and, like, trying to hold my tears back and be like, no. She's like, Stephanie, no, you are actually doing everything a typical rape victim does, like, verbatim, by, like, the words that you're using, the actions that are like how you're behaving, everything. And I don't want this to haunt you later. And I'm like, no, ma'am, it wasn't a rape. I never, like, said no, it wasn't violent, it wasn't aggressive. I don't remember any of that. She's like, but you don't remember any of it. I'm like, no, ma'am. She's like, that she looked at me like how I aggressively look at people. No, sweetheart, that's rape. You know, like, check yourself. And again, I didn't want to be seen as that victim. I didn't want to be seen as that girl. And then after that, the blood, everything came out. She did a test for all of my B12, a test for autoimmune, hormone, thyroid, and lupus. All reasons why you can lose your hair. Everything came back normal. And I'm like, fuck. I was so paranoid. I started thinking, so delivery is is the devil. And I always order delivery. And I used to order a lot of Chinese food. I used to order a lot. I'm obsessed with chicken wings, Chinese chicken wings. And I started thinking, you know what? Maybe it's the antibiotics and the hormones they inject in the chickens that is messing up the balance inside of my body. I mean, that's ridiculous. I remember telling my doctor, started laughing. She's like, oh, it doesn't work that way. And I'm like, okay, well, what is it, right? And I started eating healthy. I started taking B vitamins. I remember my skin started looking good and my body started looking great, but my hair just kept falling. And then I had to escape. I went to Portland to go see my friend, Tani, she reminds me of she's like a doctor. She's so knowledgeable, right? She knows everything, and she's very compassionate. She's someone who I compare myself a lot to in regards to understanding all the bad things about the world and the yucky stuff we don't want to talk about. So I tell her, and she was at Paul Mitchell School. So I was like, okay, perfect. I can go get my hair cut and they can check stuff out. And then I went to see her, which oddly enough, there was an angel that day. Her name was Marina. She we were in the video, you see me go, the video of Cosmopolitan, you see me kind of brushing my hair back and forth, and you see how wide all of the lines are. You just see all of my scalp. And we're looking at my head. We're trying to talk about it. The class all starts to know, and everyone kind of wants to figure out how we're going to cut my hair. And then one girl walks behind me, and she has this beautiful long black curly hair. And she's like, whatever you're holding on to, you need to let go of. Wow. And I looked back and I'm like, excuse me? She's like, the exact same thing happened to me. And I said, no, it didn't. And I'm like, oh, crying. She showed me literally the spots and how she lost it. And I hadn't lost it all the way. So then one, I was scared because I was like, oh, fuck, I'm going to lose all my hair. And then two, she showed me hair. She's like, this is for not stressing anymore. I deserve this hair, right? And she's like, here, take my number. Let me know if you need everything. And then I thought, oh my God, is it because of stress? Is it because of something happened? I didn't want to be weak because, like I said, I accepted it right away, you know? But then I came home and I kept thinking of her, and I was like, I have to check again. So I went to a different doctor, right? Grey's Anatomy, that you always got to go to get different opinions. Second opinion. And I get my second opinion. She does all the tests again. Everything comes back out normal again. And she says, oh, and then she sends me to a dermatologist. Same thing. I go back to see her again after the results and after the dermatologist saw my head. And they concluded, well, first they said that we have seen hair loss like this in women your age, never as dramatic and never after circumstances as yours, or not necessarily as circumstances after mine. And I'm like, okay. And she said that I believe that your body is, because you internalized, right? Your body is reacting to what you personally did not react to. If you were repressing all of it or whatever, which I was trying to forget it. I was trying to move on, right? Literally, I had what the male mentality is now. Like, okay, well, don't wear the short fucking skirt and don't flirt so much and maybe you won't get your ass raped, right? And that's so vulgar and aggressive to say, but for people who have that mentality, that's what we're all hearing, Like, don't tell me that, because that's just like shut up, but yeah, and then that last one, she said that, and then I was like, okay, I couldn't find anything. I was hoping it was autoimmune or something in my blood cell or whatever, blah, blah. But then it wasn't, and then it's just kept falling and falling, and then, have you guys seen Bride of Chucky? When they sew Chucky back up, like, that's what my hair looked like towards the end. And so I had the Chips Ahoy ! Like a bubble one, a giant one the size of like your hand on the back of my head on the right side, and then my hair receded completely like a fryer, and then I got fitted for, mind you, this entire time I'm working at two restaurants. A famous one that's like off Sunset Boulevard, and the second one is a fine dining restaurant where the clientele is
the rich and famous.
It's the rich and famous, and it's fine dining, And I know my patrons so well. I'm that type of a person. And so I know everyone saw me like from my top knot to cutting it to my shoulders to cutting it like a short bob I started wearing wigs. And I remember one of my tables, like this guest that came in, they're like, like they made that face with my wig. And I'm like, it's a wig. And I blurted it out because I was like, how do you, the wig was such an awful experience because I'm so honest. I wear my heart on my sleeve and I was like, oh, I'm lying to everybody. Every time my guy thought I was cute, I was like, don't look at me. I'm not cute. I'm bald under this. Or not even bald. I was just losing my hair. But I had to get my hair fitted for the wig. And when I went to go cut it, after they cut it short, my barber, who they're brothers. They're still my barber till this day. They're like, shave it. And then I shaved it. And I did my makeup that day. I beat my face that day. I made sure I did it like a lot because I knew I was going to be scared. And then that feeling of like, that's how serious all of this got. Like when he started shaving it and I started crying, it was so sad. It was so sad. It was because I can't remember the assault. Mm-hmm. So that's worse. It's more traumatizing. Damn, but yeah, I had to shave my head and that was that.
When Jill shared the video of your Cosmopolitan video, I remember obviously we all just could feel so much, but I was like, she is so stunning.
Oh, I'm so happy you brought this up.
You are like no hair, gorgeous with hair, without hair. Like I've never seen a more beautiful person.
Thank you.
With no hair. I was like, you are beautiful.
So thank you, God, right? Thank you, God. Thank you, parents. That is the first thing that I was grateful for. The first thing everyone said. I couldn't tell you how many people were like, Stephanie, you're kind of like more prettier this way. And one thing I have to say that I think this is where I learned about love, learned about myself, learned about how things damage us. And when people are damaged, never to judge them because you don't know. I see those pictures. I see how beautiful I am. Or excuse me, I look. My features are. You can see them more. I'm glowing. I cannot stand seeing any photo with my short hair. I don't care how pretty I am in it. I have one in my house that is up, and it's a cool picture. But every time I look at it, I always see a sick girl. And that's not fair. God bless everyone who's had cancer and had to deal with like worse things and kill their body to the point where they had to lose their hair and everything. Or God bless everyone who's gotten alopecia totalis, which is all your eyebrows, your eyelashes and everything. Thank God I had like your basics. And that's what they try. Alopecia is when you lose hair, but I didn't have the autoimmune thing of it. But anyways, my point is that I only recently, and why I think I feel comfortable to be here and is I feel more like myself these days. I could almost say I see myself even a little bit less prettier, but I walk differently, I talk differently, I feel differently, and I think it's because as much as that was so pretty, it wasn't my choice. All my short hair did, and I was so lucky to have gone through all the stages of like the haircuts and everything, but all it did was represent something that was taken away from me.
I do have to say, I think what the beauty is, obviously we all notice the beauty without the hair, but now your hair is coming in and it's beautiful. That's not the defining. It's the strength. It's the strength we saw in that video. And the strength that we see now, that's the defining beauty.
Oh, thank you so much. It's hard to get there. I'm lucky because I love people. I think that's and I'm very spiritual. So like, I think that's what's helped me in regards to, I can't, especially when I started finding out how often it was, it's one of those where like, damn, when you got to step up, you got to step up. I'm not the only person who this goes through, but I am the person who's loud. I am the person who's going to be heard. And, you get put into these situations and people are like, oh, they're doing it for the attention, this and that, and blah, blah, blah. And, to be fair, I feel like I'm one of the first ones that kind of started, unfortunately, this trend of everybody really coming hard on like what's happened to them in the past.
Well, it was sort of what happened to you, and sort of you sharing your story was before the whole Harvey Weinstein scandal broke in Hollywood, and sort of the, exposing the music industry and all of these like terrible things that we have been hearing. And it's just proof that regardless of whether it's being talked about or not, it's happening.
Right.
And it's really fucking sad. And it's whoever is the victim, it is not your fault. And I know that it takes a really long time to get over stuff like this. And you may never be over it. And you may never be back to that person that you were. But the thing that you did, which I admire so much, is that once you realized what was happening and the toll that it was taking on your body, you sort of made a really big life change, which was you quit your survival job. You decided that you were going to do art full-time, acting full-time. So back to, before the story, I kind of want to know sort of the healing process through the art, because your collection that you just showed in LA and San Diego, it's directly, it is your story.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I didn't notice it until I put it up. I think I'm the type of person where the common denominator counts for everything, right? If there's something consistent, if there's something going on, what's the common denominator? And as my acting coach, Iris Klein, who I have her to thank for so much of this, but she always says, you go to the source, right? And I find it that oftentimes we are the source. I don't like to put blame on anybody else except for myself, because we are right. It's about us. It's how we deal with things. A year after I shaved my head, a year went by. Again, like I said, I was doing all of this in front of everybody. I shaved my head, and then I kept wearing the wig until my patches filled up, and then I was able to just rock a bald head, which that was when I was really happy again, or getting there. And then a year passed by with me having a shaved head and my hair growing out, and then I went to Europe. My entire life, and mind you, horrible dramatic things happened over the summer between my housemate and I, and it was very personal, obviously, and everything like that. But I remember thinking, the only things we can control in life is our reaction. And I could not figure anything out. I couldn't deal with anything. Every time I drank, the emotions and drama and fighting that would come out of me is just crazy. And I saw that and I recognized that in myself. And again, you don't want to put the blame on anyone, especially because how often, I don't judge, but how often do I notice things I don't like about other people? And I don't like the thought of people seeing that in me, which is, you can't please everyone, but if you can help it, try. And I think that summer happened, and then I went to Europe, and I was like, okay, I'm finally going to a place I've always wanted to go, doing something. And I feel like I went. It was such a good experience. It really was. But then in the same sentiment, I wasn't there. I didn't see it. I know what I was meant to feel, if that makes any sense. And I'm like a hippie in regards to following energy and vibrations and people. And I know how I am, because I know when I'm really inspired, I write like crazy. And, I didn't really get any writing done and nothing was going on. But when I came back from Europe, I was so butthurt about everything that kind of clouded the experience, and found myself just so numbing and like tired, I was like, I just need I don't know. And then I met someone else who helped me realize, I don't know, it was weird. It's like people come into your life for a reason or a season or forever, and someone else came into my life, and I just started he influenced me to become sober. And that's when I think I realized everything, because I believe I was self-medicating for a long time. And by the third day, and I don't drink that much, but I am a participant in the use of marijuana recreationally. At that time, medicinally, but I think I was overdoing it, and I'm someone who does enjoy it, but I didn't enjoy it anymore, and I saw it and I noticed it, and so I felt like, okay, what can I do to really make a difference? Or I don't see me for me. And someone said that I complained a lot. And that was the first thing that I heard. And Megan, the face that you just made was like, what? I never get that from anybody. And that's when I was like, okay, I'm not being me right now. What's going on? Yeah. And this was someone who's like, he says it how it is, right? Like, and he doesn't, like, he even says like, look, I don't fucking know you. I'm not worried about hurting your feelings or anything else. And I was like, damn, that's what's up. So I came home and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to be someone where, you know, when people say learn from your mistakes and so on, like, if you see something that you can change, you know, it's, if anything else in life, at least show growth. Right. But, yeah. So then I stopped doing everything. I needed what that was the only thing that I could do that could possibly change, like the routine, vibrate, anything. Right. So I stopped. And then, the fourth or third day I cried and I was like, why am I crying? And then my first painting was the one, it's called Chaos and Scream. And it's my first like self-portrait. And it's a picture of me screaming and I half a head of hair and the other half of it fallen out. And there's a triangle above it, which signifies change. And I remember painting that and thinking, that's so crazy. Like, why? How did it come about? And then I continued when I was like, you know, when you get anxiety and you're going back and forth and you don't know how to feel and you almost feel wired, like you have to be doing something. That's when I would have to like, oh, shit, I'd have to start painting. You know, what is your outlet? And I would write, and I wrote so much about certain things that was happening. I never wrote about being assaulted. Never. So I think once I wrote about me being a woman and being angry about like see it and the thing, I have such masculine energy. So again, it's funny. It's even funnier to me that it happened. Damn it, right? But I don't know, and I think because of that, I almost wanted to. I didn't want to become more masculine, and then I wanted to love her again. And I say her, I mean like the femininity in me again. I don't have to put this block up. I should adore my delicacy because why not? Because we're women, because it's one of our gifts. And I don't know. And I just kept painting and I would write and I would paint. And a lot of the assault stuff, like I think that came out through the paintings. You see that. You see like significant like dreams, and then I would paint it. And I usually paint, I think, to like with color, right? So that it stimulates the mind when you see it. If you don't understand the painting, I want you to connect with it regardless. But I think a lot of it was just me being present in the moment and allowing things to happen the way that they do. And I think when I was painting and when I was taking my acting classes, having to dive into these characters and break them down and understand who they are, and then also being present, you start seeing you, the sad parts of you, the broken parts of you, the parts of you that are always the caretaker or the survivor, or like, yo, relax, calm down. Okay, these are issues that I have to deal with, you know? And then I had to go to therapy because I couldn't even say that I was raped for the longest time. Oh my gosh. And it's good because a lot of times what's in our head, once you speak about it, you release its power and it doesn't take a toll on you anymore. And that's why we go to therapy, guys. That's why we choose to vent.
Yes.
That's why you're supposed to go. Don't take it as anything wrong. And if you feel like you have your friends, they're not always the most educated to tell you stuff. And also you're people who, when you vent or like whatever, people are not supposed to give you advice. They're supposed to help you process your thoughts because the advice does nothing for you when it's not born from you. But yeah, I mean, it was just a battle. I'm almost 30 and it put such a setback into my life that I think the pressure of wanting to be successful, you know, of wanting to not be left behind or whatever was another push to getting to this place, to becoming better, to seeing my potential again.
So in this case of you now doing your art full time, you know, hustling for whatever money that you can make so you can continue to pursue the creative side of you. How do you keep yourself motivated? Because you are your own boss at this point.
Teach their own, honestly. You know your person. I'm not the type. Well, what I've done at this point, I'm moving. So that's one thing I've had to do. Which, you know how in the beginning they say, what did we do this week? That's like a boss or what? Sorry. Yeah. So what I did this week was I booked movers and I like booked how to transport my car and everything, and I've decided to move to Wilmington, North Carolina. And
wait, you're moving?
I'm moving, and that's done. And I turned in my application. I essentially have my place already. And I'm doing it. I'm happy because I'm moving into a townhome, more space. I'll have a 2-bedroom where the second bedroom can be my studio. But I saw myself not being motivated. And again, you know your person. And I know me, and I'm stimulated by people. I'm stimulated by atmosphere. And I think that I'm grateful to myself. I'm grateful to be honest to myself, to know that I am an honest artist in regards to I don't have to be in LA and film all these things. I want to show, share, express love. I want to go somewhere where you know what? I feel like I might be able to soften that city because it's in the South, right? I'm not trying to be me. I love the South. I adore the South. I love its hospitality. Its friendliness.
You lived there before.
I did. I lived in Fredericksburg, Virginia. Virginia's for lovers. Sorry, I love Virginia. But in regards to when I did go down there, I did experience a lot of racism. I'm light skinned, but I'm Colombian, so everyone quickly recognize. They hear the Latina in me. They oh, you speak quick, or what? Where are you from? Blah, blah, blah. But anyways, and I say soften in regards to I know California is very liberal, and I have a lot of respect for other cultures, regions, whatever. So I think because of my understanding of people, I feel strongly that I can transition. I can help transition. I can help. That's why soften is better, right? Because I'm not pressuring anybody.
I like that. No, I like that.
I want, let me paint something and have that be the first thing that you see and helps you see the city, see people differently.
Let me expose you to something you've never been exposed to.
Exactly.
Before.
I love that.
Exactly.
I love that. So speaking of your art, it's beautiful, but you're not a trained artist. Self-taught. So do you ever like feel pressure that someone's not going to get it or they're going to question it? Like, talk about that a little bit.
Well, not that part. Sometimes I'll see people. So the only art class I ever took was like a 2D class almost 10 years ago. And then I've always painted or sketched randomly, but I was never nurtured it, right? So that's now we're finally in a place where it's like, if you know you like something, take classes for that. Make yourself better in that. Because I was from a family who's like, no, you have to, there's no security in art and blah, 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 whatever. But anyways, so no, I think I started with one piece and I saw how it affected a person. And then I started looking at a bunch of pieces that inspired me, Picasso, Van Gogh, all these things, right? And you realize that art truly, truly is subjective, but that's why it's important, because it's a form, it's a language. It's a language that is like universal. Sorry, I just wrote a poem about that. It's like a language that I speak, that I can communicate with everyone. And I honestly, even if you hate, I think what it is there's so many pieces that I've seen that I don't like.
Okay.
So that's not fair, right? And I think I welcome anyone to like it or not like it for whatever reason it is, because it makes it honest. And then also it comes down to just believing in yourself when it's hard. And I say that with like my cadence goes down in that because it's such a corny thing to say, but when it comes down to it, you have to remind yourself for that and believe that. But I believe that because so much of my energy is in the painting, because I truly love the colors that I choose, and when I want it to be seen, like, I think that people feel it. I think they receive it, and I think that that's what makes it honest, and that's what makes it okay, and why I have the comfort of, or why I believe that I will be successful in it.
Love it.
I love that. So we've talked about a lot today.
I know. Sorry, y'all.
No.
Apologize.
I first want to thank you for sharing your story, because I think that it is one that needs to be heard and that should be heard. And I hope that it has, healed others and also contributed to your healing. On this podcast, we are all about accountability and setting goals. So we want to help you. Let's set a goal today to keep you accountable.
Yeah.
So what is something that you have not done that you want to do, you've always wanted to do? And how are you going to do it? And I know you're thinking of something right now, so you should just say it.
I'm not. I don't
You
even
are?
know.
Oh, you had that glimmer in your eye.
Something that I've always wanted to do. I'm like, dang, I feel like Jillian knows before I do.
I kind of feel like she knows too.
I think she, and what's even funnier, remember how I said I trust her? in my heart right now, I know she's right. Like, I'm not even aware of my wants sometimes.
Doesn't she have that amazing power?
Yeah.
Can I tell you what I'm thinking?
Yeah.
So I really think that you need to act in something.
Right. Okay. I thought you were saying that, but I'm like, don't shut up. Yes. No, I definitely do. Are you kidding me? That's been yeah. You know, I don't talk about it because it's so tender to me. You know, I'm someone, I stay in my room. I go over my monologues. I go over scenes. I disappointed in myself for not having pushed harder, for not having done the work, because it does come down to the work, right? Sometimes I'm like, damn, a sexual assault and everything else, I'm almost grateful for it because it shook me up. I will never be the same person again, but at least I can be this woman that I want to be, you know? And acting would be wonderful. I go in with that. You guys can't see me, but like I go in with it because it is dear to my heart. It is something that I would want to do, and I'm still, as a grown woman, working on being able to call myself an actress and being able to talk about it comfortably and confidently, because I'm surrounded by so many artists and so many actors and actresses who do so much more of the work.
Yeah. I think if anybody, I mean, I only met you today. I knew a little bit about your story, but I think if anyone could act and just put on a beautiful performance, I say that with every ounce of me, it's you. I've never met somebody that is so sure of who they are and is so strong and so centered.
Thank you. That's a huge compliment, because I can confidently argue otherwise, right? because I'm still doing the work. It is so hard, but you know, I know it doesn't matter about, okay, so everyone says it's worry about you, but me, honest me, I worry for everyone else in regards to, I don't want to let people down, but the reason why is because I believe they see things in me that I don't see, right? So if I can't do it for myself, I got to do it for everybody else, because that might be something that I'll be working on for a very long time. So, you know, you put it in the hands of God and know that everything happens for a reason, right? So, yeah, I mean, we'll see if I can make it happen. It'll be cool. I'd love to read a poem to you guys, though, in a moment. Please. After you ask whatever you need to ask.
No, ready. We're ready.
Let's end the show with a poem. I think that's appropriate.
Okay. So I might cry when I read it. But I wrote this. It is called The Ending for a New Beginning. And I wrote this because I'm going to be turning 30 this year. And we're always in like this place of like, oh, age doesn't matter. It does matter. Oh, but 30 is so young. Whatever. There's so many emotions. And then I said I wanted to be fair about it. I didn't want to be like other women who started lying about their age or didn't want to be this or wanted to be younger. I wanted to be happy where I was. My darling 20s, my heart cries for you. What a divine decade you were. To love, to hurt, to laugh, to scream, to cry, to grow. Time, only time, is so generous to pass such sentiments that present us with the awareness of life. My lungs search for a breath that takes my voice when I find it. Lágrimas que llenan mis ojos se tiran. My eyes fill with tears that surrender and fall. I look for words that I have not used because I found feelings I do not know. Sweet lady, powerful woman, you have arrived. You have been pushed and pulled, heartbroken and mean, wild and reckless, courageous and bold. And now I can choose. I feel more comfortable in my existence. I let go of that little girl that I so bad wanted to make happy. She roots me, for I dragged her through so many experiences. Some were awful and others were magnificent. Because she was a dreamer and most importantly a lover, who so desperately wanted to make this world a safer place. I leave her in peace now. I say goodbye. I step forward and welcome this new time of knowing me now. With grace and respect, I introduce myself to the world. I am an artist. I am a poetess, a lover, and a painter.
Oh, wow. That was beautiful. You know what's so interesting is that right before you read that, you were just talking about, like, sometimes I have to do it for other people. I don't know yet. Girl, with those words, like you have it in there. You know what I mean? Right. It comes out through your writing because you wrote those words because it's like they're deep. they're right here. You know, you got it in you. It's just having it come out. I loved that. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you. And thank you for having this podcast. Thank you for being women who are about women, which I cannot preach enough that if we, and I'm going to say it to where it hits, because I think what's more important to most of us women is love, and however you associate that, whether it's a woman or a man. But if that's the case, when you think of your partner, think of when I think of men, I always say the better the woman, the better the man, right? Because a man will only let you do as much as you'll let them. And I feel like if women learned how to respect each other, love each other, talk to each other. Once Jillian said to me when something was messing me up, she said, I'm going to give you 3 words, write on it, meditate on it, whatever you want to do. And I say it to myself, let her be, right? Because it's not you. God gave you what you were supposed to be. If you don't believe in God, then the universe gave you what you were supposed to be. It doesn't matter. You have to look for it, embrace it. And when I think people around us, whether they're men or women, see that, they know that they can't fuck with that. And when they can't fuck with it, they have to step their game up. So essentially, we're raising the bar for everyone as people, as humanity. But anyways, you two ladies are lovely. I appreciate you guys in that regard.
No,
so
we're
thank you for
honored
having
to
me.
have you here today.
Thank you so much for sharing your story. And we hope you guys enjoyed Stephanie. Stephanie, where can they look at your art? Where can they find you? Tell them.
Right. Thank you so much. Because I am honest, I feel like I have to apologize again. I'm already thinking about everything I said, and I almost feel regretful about it because this is the stages, right? We're doing the work. I hope you guys hear it, accept it, respect it. But you can find me on Instagram at @TheStephanieGiorgi. Feel free to DM me, follow my art, ask me questions. Let me know if you want to see more things. And thank you for listening.
I love that. Well, guys, we will see you next week. Bye.
Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at BossPleasePod. And don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe on iTunes. Navigate the path to your best self with us, because bossing together is always better.